position. What Nash really said was, yeah, I thought you had hit or kneed or elbowed me in every part of my body possible. I didn't think there was anything left. Well, now there's not.
All right, thank you, Craig. 7-0 run here by the Suns over the last minute. A series of moves and a beautiful finish by Oberto. You know what's strange about all this, Steve? In the past, the Spurs were known for their defense, but their reputation has never been that of a bruising, physical ball club.
And this team has actually been very amused by all the talk about being tough and being dirty, because they've always been known as the marshmallow team, the milk and cookies gang. And all of a sudden now, they're the team that's doing everything dirty.
Strong move by Stoudemire going glass. Phoenix with an 11-5 lead just underway. We are early moments. Here's Parker off the dribble. Bowen now played by Nash. Shot clock to 3. Parker, yes. Suns get down in a hurry. Stoudemire. Offensive foul. The basket will not count. He went 1-on-3, always dangerous, and called for the charge.
Well, he did not have the advantage, and Mike D'Antoni knows that was a foul. And once again, Stoudemire picks up the early one. This is something Phoenix likes to do, push the ball up the floor. Oberto with excellent position there, and Stoudemire has to be more careful. He didn't have the edge there.
Bowen for 3. Bruce Bowen, Saturday night in game 3, hit 2 timely three-pointers, 3 of 6 overall for 10 points.
That shot's going to be there, Marv, because Steve Nash is guarding Bowen, and Nash is a roamer defensively as Stoudemire drains the 18-footer. But Nash loves to roam and help out his teammates and look to take charges off of penetration. So Bowen's going to have plenty of room out there. He made 3 the other night, and off to the quick start from that corner shot that he loves so much.
Parker got inside. Good job by Oberto in the starting lineup instead of Francisco Elson. Oberto started the second half in game 3. Thomas slaps it away. Here's Duncan. Single coverage on Duncan. Rebound swept by Marion. Nash pushing it.
Interesting. Phoenix still neglecting to double team Duncan. Thomas is going to shoot the jumper. I think it's going to count. And we'll see a foul on Oberto. But Mark, really no strategic change tonight from Mike D'Antoni. A lot of questions about whether Phoenix would double team Tim Duncan, but he's decided to play him one-on-one straight up to try to keep everybody else out of the rhythm offensively. And meanwhile, beautiful pass from Steve Nash. Bucket's going to count, and the foul's on Oberto. That's his second.
Foul away from the ball. Robert Horry will come on for Oberto. Amari Stoudemire, who just could not stay on the court Saturday night, only 21 minutes due to the foul trouble. He did hit 7 of 11 for 21 points, but just 5 rebounds, and was not a factor in the first half.
And Mike D'Antoni telling us before the game, he said, look, Steve Nash had an off night. Amari Stoudemire wasn't on the floor. Leandro Barbosa didn't get it going, and yet we had a pretty good chance to win. So I think the Suns feel pretty good about their game plan and their strategy here.
Stoudemire coming up with that steal. Nash to the fadeaway, and he is feeling it here in the early going.
That's what all great players do. When they struggle one game, they come out extra focused, extra confident. The great ones just don't seem to get bothered by a bad game. And Nash off to the quick start.
Suns have hit their last 6 shots. Parker changed his mind. He surprised Duncan. Here comes Marion with Ginobili, who just checked in, getting back. And that pass broken up. It will be Phoenix ball.
Well, Steve Nash is so good, and he's going to have shooting opportunities in this series because you look at Tony Parker there, Manu Ginobili. The Spurs are going to stay with three-point shooters, so Nash will have openings, and that's where he's so tough. That fadeaway jumper that big guys just can't get to.
Stoudemire, good hands by Horry to break it up, and last touch by Stoudemire.
Well, Stoudemire said that he relied too much on the jumper the other night, that he was going to put the ball on the floor a little bit more. Tried to get around Horry, but that's a matchup that Greg Popovich is pretty comfortable with. Horry, very mobile for a big man, and he can stay with Stoudemire.
That's 3 turnovers here in the early moments by Stoudemire. Parker's pass sailing to the stands. He thought he had Ori, and they discuss it. Tony looking disgusted.
Yeah. And meanwhile, another quick start for Phoenix. Remember, they were up 10 in game 3 in the first half and couldn't sustain it. We'll see if they can do a better job of that here tonight.
Thomas rims out. Duncan with another rebound. 8-point lead for the Suns. Marion cheating over, trying to help out, and that succeeded.
And that's where Marion is at his best. Not necessarily coming down to double, but helping from behind. He's so active and long. He can bother shooters when he comes down to help after the move has been made.
Shot clock to 5. Here's Bell taking to the rim and blocked from behind by Duncan. And that's a 24-second violation.
We saw Tim Duncan do that to Steve Nash a couple of times the other night in game 3. And that's what makes the Spurs defense what it is. Everything is based on funneling the offense into Tim Duncan. And he waits there at the baseline. And whether he blocks the shot or not, he's an enormous presence. And that's why the San Antonio defense has been at the top of the league ever since Duncan arrived out of Wake Forest.
Brent Barry has come on for the Spurs. Leandro Barbosa, who had a very quiet game on Saturday night, is checked in. Ginobili, guarded by Bell. Stoudemire over to help. Barry gets it down low. Beautiful play as Duncan is able to score.
And that's what San Antonio has to do. Get the ball moving side to side. Phoenix is the quicker team. But when they can move the ball from one side to the other, then they can beat the defense and get right to the rim.
There's Stoudemire. He's fouled. Fouled by Barry. Good look from Thomas to get it down low. Amari Stoudemire will shoot 2. Amari, 2-time All-Star, has come back strong from that microfracture knee surgery. And you can see his numbers this series. Game 1, only 6 for 19 from the field. One of his worst shooting games of the season, and then turned it in game 2, 10 for 16, 27 points.
And he, like Nash, is going to have some openings inside because, and we talked about this a lot in game 2, San Antonio does not allow Phoenix to get open looks from the three-point line in their half-court offense. So they stay with shooters, which means there's plenty of room inside. That's one of the reasons Stoudemire averaged about 37 a game in that series these two teams played back in 2005. So he's got to stay on the floor because he's got plenty of room to work with down there.
Again, just the single coverage on Duncan, and that pass intended for Ori deflected out. Last touch by Stoudemire. San Antonio will have 6 on the shot clock. During the regular season, the Spurs went 58-24. They finished second in the Southwest Division behind Dallas. First round of the playoffs, knocked off Denver in 5. Here's Duncan. He's fouled up high by Thomas. Remember, the Nuggets won game 1, and then the Spurs took the next 4, and San Antonio entered the playoffs as a hot team. They won 25 of their final 31 games. Coming up on 3 minutes to play in this first quarter. Ginobili for 3. Manu Ginobili, who had been struggling with the shot, broke out in game 3 and hits on his first attempt, and he does it from beyond the arc.
A turnover there on the backdoor cut from Barbosa, but it's amazing when you have a couple of shots go in, as Ginobili did the other night. He scored about 10 quick points in the last 2 minutes of the third quarter, and that just broke him out. And you can see right away when he gets the open look, relaxes, just shoots it, doesn't think about it. And Ginobili, a guy who can get hot in a hurry.
Here's Jacques Vaughn at the point now for San Antonio, replacing Tony Parker. So Vaughn and Barry at the guards. That's a defensive 3-second violation. So we will see a technical foul. And they'll shoot the tee following the timeout break. a three-pointer.
Well, he made 6 of his last 8 the other night, and that always amazes me. And it's something Michael Jordan used to do. You have a horrible first 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden you just get hot with all the pressure on. But that's why he's the MVP. That's what superstar players do, and you see it didn't affect him in Game 3. It didn't affect him coming out tonight. If anything, probably made him a little sharper.
Was the MVP the last 2 years.
Yes. That's what I mean.
Still MVP caliber player.
Well, the official announcement has not been made yet on what everybody expects with Dirk Nowitzki winning.
John Vaughn, who gets those open looks frequently, that time took advantage.
He's going to have that shot pretty much all night because Phoenix won't guard him. He hasn't been able to make shots so far, so that's a big one. Marion with a beautiful spin move.
22-18. Phoenix as we approach 2 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Duncan is fouled. Marion came over to help, and he is called on the foul. On the subject of the MVP votes, I was reading in the San Antonio paper here today that you were tough on yourself, regretting that you did not even have Tim Duncan in the MVP conversation during the course of the season. Here's the quote. This is from my partner, Steve Kerr. Is he the best power forward ever, or simply one of the best dozen players ever? And this is Buck Harvey's column today in the San Antonio Express News, who writes, Steve Kerr, for example, calls himself a moron for not considering Duncan for MVP.
Well, I am. I mean, a lot of people should admit to that, because how often did you actually hear Duncan's name mentioned? I mean, rarely. And, all year when people would ask me, I'd mention Nash, Nowitzki, maybe Kobe. So look at what Duncan did. 20 points a game, 11 boards. He anchors the best defense in the league. He's a shot blocker. He shot 54%. This was his best season in 3 or 4 years, and yet, he did it so quietly and efficiently that nobody ever mentioned anything.
Oh, Diaw, pretty move. Able to hook it home. Boris Diaw just entered the game, has given the Suns a 4-point lead. Tim Duncan had another terrific season, but went unnoticed because the Spurs methodically win their 50-plus games, while Nowitzki and Dallas lead the NBA in victories. Here's Vaughn from the other side. He's hit 2 for 2. And Steve Nash has his usual superb year as Phoenix does extremely well. So the attention was on Nash and Nowitzki. And now with the playoffs on and Duncan off to a tremendous start, he's been getting the attention, and people are saying, hey, wait a second.
Yeah, well, we got swept away with the Mavericks, too. I mean, they won 67 games, and Dirk did have a phenomenal season. So I think Duncan just got lost in the shuffle.
Well, Vaughn feeling it as he misses after hitting his first 2 shots. 1 minute left in this first quarter. Diaw met by Horry. Crowd wanted to travel. Rebound Duncan. Ginobili pulls it back, waits for Duncan and Horry to make their way to the front court. That pass intended for Duncan, and last touch off the save attempt. Last touch by the Suns. And Shawn Marion shaken up as he tried to save it. Lands in the lap of the Suns owner, Robert Sarver.
Maybe a good thing that he didn't save that ball. It went right back to Tim Duncan underneath the hoop. That's something that coaches teach you pretty early on in your basketball playing days. There's Sarver grabbing on to Marion, but if you save it underneath their own hoop, a couple bad things can happen. One, a layup. 2, you get a guy getting fouled underneath. That's an easy way for Stoudemire or Kurt Thomas to pick up a cheap second foul.
Ginobili off the spin. Rebounded by Diaw.
2-for-1 opportunity for Phoenix here.
Barbosa cornered though by Vaughn, and then fouled.
San Antonio's transition defense has been pretty solid here tonight. The Suns had 5 quick fast break points, and Greg Popovich took that early timeout, and I'm sure that's what he talked about. I mean, he doesn't want to get into a track meet here with the Suns. And so they started to control the boards. They've gotten the game back into their tempo, and they've done a nice job of getting themselves back into the game.
4th team foul is called on San Antonio Suns do have a foul to give. The Red Rocket, Matt Bonner, who has not played much in the postseason, is checked in. Francisco Elson also on the floor. Stoudemire's stripped. Marion picks it up. Final seconds of the quarter. Barry for Ginobili. And it's picked off. Here's Diaw from the backcourt. An adventurous conclusion to the first quarter.
The Spurs end up with the turnover from Phoenix. And that's one of the reasons why Greg Popovich's teams, you see, have been in the top 5 in the 2 main defensive categories for 9 straight seasons. And, you know, remember when they had David Robinson and Duncan, they had 2 7-footers covering up that basketball. It was almost impossible to score on them in the half court.
San Antonio in the regular season, as Stoudemire misfires, allowed only 90 points a game. They've given up the fewest points per game, with the opposition shooting only 44%. Brent Barry with his first field goal of the game is tied at 24.
That got a big fist pump from Greg Popovich. Marion comes in and slams it home, but it looks like there's going to be an offensive foul first on Leandro Barbosa.
The basket does not count. The ball back to the Spurs. They're going with Parker, Barry, Ginobili, Elson, and Orias. We get another look at that offensive foul on Barbosa. Opening minute, second quarter. Marv Albert with Steve Kerr and Craig Sager. A couple of bodies hitting the floor. Ori went down, as did Stoudemire, and the foul on Stoudemire. That's his second.
And that's the type of cheap foul that he's been getting called for throughout this series, and that's the foul that he has to avoid. You know, you have to pick and choose your fouls. You see the stat there, second in the NBA in fouls behind only Andres Biedrins this season. But, you know, Stoudemire's fouls should come one-on-one against Tim Duncan when he's trying to keep him from scoring, not away from the ball, you know, chucking cutters and making plays that really don't have anything to do with the scoring opportunity that's at hand.
Ari Stoudemire takes a seat. Steve Nash returns. Good ball movement. Barry for 3. And Barbosa gets to it.
Well, with Duncan on the bench now, the offense will be run through Ginobili and Tony Parker. Barbosa gets the jumper to go. And you're going to see Brent Barry and Robert Horry being a little more aggressive with their shots also.
And that's a good sign for Phoenix. Leandro Barbosa trying to turn it from the subpar performance the other night. Nice backdoor pass. Horry on the hop to Barry.
And again, there's Nash roaming. So anybody who's being guarded by Nash can really work without the ball and find some openings, because Nash is going to be a help defender more than anything.
Ginobili for 3. Loose ball foul. It's a push charge to Elson.
Watch the replay here on the backdoor cut from Barry. You see Nash gets lost there, and Barry aggressive here in the early going, 2 for 3. And Greg Popovich was pumping his fist after Barry hit his first lay-in. I think it's important for Barry to be extremely aggressive. Remember, his 3-pointer in the third quarter the other night was a key bucket.
Here's Marion. Back tap, kept alive by Jones, and he goes glass. I don't know if that was his intention. That was not a Tim Duncan looking type shot.
No, I think that was inadvertent at best.
28-26, Phoenix with the lead. Finley played by Jones. Parker able to split through. Looks like Jones got a piece of it. Barry kept it alive. Ginobili for 3. Rebounded by Marion. Manu Ginobili getting good looks in this first half. Nash behind the back to Diaw. Crowd wanted to travel. Barbosa, that 3-pointer off the mark.
That's a shot Phoenix has to have tonight, because, you know, especially with this lineup here, Diaw attacking, they're small, a lot of shots to be had. Barbosa needs it.
Oh, beautiful pass. This time it's Ginobili to Elson, who went flying. And he gives a look over at Jones. He thought he was undercut.
It looked like Elson was just trying to hang on to the rim to come down safely. Jones, I think, was just trying to get up the floor. We know Phoenix wants everybody to run out, even on made hoops. And I think that was inadvertent, although this crowd doesn't think so.
Nash, that was a three-point attempt. Game tied at 28. Finley passed on a three. Ginobili got the step. Yes, and the foul. Mono going left to right, and then went with the left hand as he was hacked by Barbosa.
Even when you send Ginobili right, he still manages to get back to his...
A lot of pushing and shoving goes on, you know.
Sticking elbows out.
I believe Amari Stoudemire did make that
yes,
charge.
yeah, I think he did.
Ginobili able to complete the three-point play. San Antonio has won the last 5 games here against Phoenix. At home, they've won 11 of the last 12 here in San Antonio. Beautiful move by Diaw. So, Boris Diaw getting an opportunity after Amari Stoudemire went to the bench after picking up a second foul. So it is Diaw on the front line now with Marion and Jones. Bell and Nash at the guards. Here's Finley giving it up to Parker. Shot clock down to 7. Elson looks to set the screen. Barry for 3. Rebounded by Marion.
Well, this is a time in the game where you'd expect Phoenix to make a little push. 2 small lineups out there, but I think one thing that the Spurs have proven is that they can play a lot of different ways too. Small and fast, and whatever they need to do, they can beat you any which way.
And the San Antonio bench has done a good job here in the second quarter. Diaw on the recovery. Parker is on it. Parker racing, able to beat Nash down court.
That's the type of play that has beaten Phoenix in this series. Just little loose balls and long rebounds. And I think that's some of the mental toughness that Steve Nash talked about. Just, it's not so much about knocking people down physically. It's just about chasing down rebounds. I don't know if there was much anybody could do there. But this is the type of play that the Spurs have been making that's led to some of these spurts that have allowed them to beat Phoenix 2 out of 3.
Strong drive by Bell to draw the foul on Elson. Now Greg Popovich sends on Tim Duncan along with Bruce Bowen. Getting the starters back on the floor. Nash's pass picked off by Barry has played well. Duncan feeling for Thomas. Marion over to help. And he banks it in. Steve, bank shot statisticians, and you know who you are, have come up with these stats. Tim Duncan hit 9 of 12 bank shots in game 2. How about 6 of 9 off of the glass in game 3? Here's Thomas and gets the roll. Now somewhere one-time Boston Celtics star Sam Jones would be so proud.
Well, I think Duncan got away from it a little bit last season when he had the foot injury. He looked so much better physically, and I think he's got a little more bounce in his step. And when he feels good, he's going to make that bank shot more often than not.
Good job by Marion on Bowen. Shot clock to 5. There's Parker. What a move. He went at Marion, protected the ball, and was able to slide his way to scoop it home. Bell, Finley rebound. The Spurs contesting every shot. They've taken a 37-32 lead. And now Greg Popovich wants to talk. Timeout call.
Well, it's starting to look more and more like a Spurs type game because they've slowed things down a little bit. They've corralled Phoenix offensively, and then at this end, they're starting to go into Duncan, and one-on-one, I don't think anybody in the world can guard him.
ESPN Game 6 between the Pistons and the Bulls. That is one of those if necessary contests, followed by Game 6 of the Jazz and the Warriors, also in the category of if necessary. And then Sunday on ABC, the playoffs continue with games and times to be determined. Strong second quarter for the Spurs. They've outscored the Suns 15-8. They have a 5-point lead. Jacques Vaughn back at the point. Played well. This time Marion comes up on Vaughn, who hit a couple of jumpers earlier. And Marion with the steal. The long arms of Sean Marion picking off that pass.
Interesting that Popovich would go back to Vaughn. And Parker not in foul trouble. Vaughn did play well, but this is normally not a time when Vaughn would be in the ballgame.
Here's the mismatch, but Marion threw it back. Shot clock to 4. Thomas has that good-looking mid-range jump shot.
And again, I know we've talked about this a lot, but the Spurs not rotating off of three-point shooters. They're going to cover that line. Phoenix just 1 for 6 here in the first half from 3. So that means guys like Thomas will have some open shots.
Thomas trying to close the baseline and does a nice job. He blocks the shot. And a strong move by Barbosa.
Oh, is he quick. The Brazilian blower looked like 3 Spurs were right there. And not only did he get around the Spurs defense, he went right over the top of them.
The Suns are within a point. And away from the ball, Bell was sent flying. Foul is called on San Antonio. It's on Finley.
Now, Bell, one of the best in the league at drawing fouls like this. You know, whether it's a flop or not, it's so difficult for the officials to tell which one it is. So if he gets screened and he's on the move, he's generally going to take a dive and put the onus on the referee.
Tony Parker is back, replacing Jacques Vaughn. Good job by Finley, keeping Nash outside. Now Finley got picked off by Thomas. Duncan on Nash. Nash to the fadeaway. Marion reaching for it. Back tap. Here's Barbosa. Barbosa puts the speed on. Thomas able to grab it. Looking for help. It's a wild sequence. Barbosa for 3. And another good play by Marion, but it's poked away now by Ginobili. Finley gives it back. Duncan, offensive foul. Duncan called for the charge.
Well, Greg Popovich is pointing at the restricted area line. Jack Neves was right on it. Tony Parker now complaining. Duncan can't believe it. And only we will know if we have the replay.
There it is.
And let's take a look. Looked like Nash, as usual, had position. That's what he does. He's right on that line. Bad call by the officials. The Spurs have every right to be upset.
And Nash kicks it out. Shot clock down to 4. Nash, oh, beautiful move. The Spurs thought they had him trapped in the corner.
Incredible defense by San Antonio for about 21 seconds until finally Nash was able to break them down, and Duncan just couldn't get over in time to block the shot.
Suns up by a point. San Antonio's turned it over 3 straight possessions. Foul is called on Thomas. Second on Kurt Thomas. Kurt Thomas continues to do a good job on Tim Duncan. Started game 2. And Mike D'Antoni stayed with him in games 3 and then game 4 here tonight. He started only 13 games in the regular season. Thomas in his second year with Phoenix after 7 seasons with the Knicks. Duncan thought he was fouled and no call made. Here's Parker. Duncan. And that was not a lob pass. That was a shot that went astray.
Not a whole lot Thomas could do there. And, you know, you talk about that matchup as Nash loses the ball on the baseline. But, you know, Mike D'Antoni knows Kurt Thomas is not going to stop Tim Duncan, but he's going to make him work for everything he gets. And just by making him have to go through something physically to get those hoops and not have to send a double team, it does help the Suns.
Made the rounds in the NBA, Kansas City, Omaha, played the ABA, and then went overseas and had great success. He was a star, a huge star in the Italian League. Also very successful as a head coach in Italy, winning 5 Italian League titles. He was voted the league's all-time top point guard.
He's a legend over there. I mean, if he goes to Italy, I was actually in Italy with Mike D'Antoni when he came over with the Spurs during the '99 McDonald's games. He was serving as a scout for Phoenix. We're going to see an offensive foul here on Parker. But just walking around Milan with Mike D'Antoni, he was like the Michael Jordan of Italy.
Mike was telling me people were asking, who's that guy with you? 2.5 to go in this first half. Mike enjoyed them. Here's Barbosa. Duncan with the rebound.
Right, Barbosa just can't get anything to go. 2 for 7. He struggled in game 3 as well. Now here's Finley with the open 3.
Parker with the rebound and puts it down. Tony Parker on the follow. He gives San Antonio a 3-point edge. Thomas. Good look from Nash. Duncan tried to close, and Thomas had the quick release.
Boy, how good has Thomas been in this series? He's 4 for 7 now, 8 points. Number 6 of 7 during that Game 2 Suns victory. And defensively, he's done everything he can against Duncan, but as you see there, not a whole lot you can do sometimes.
And as Kurt Thomas likes to remind teammates on a regular basis, in college at Texas Christian, led the nation in scoring and rebounding one season, but he, for the most part, has been a defensive presence in the NBA, although he's put up some pretty good numbers over the years.
I think I would remind my teammates of that, too, if I had done that.
San Antonio in possession. They lead by 3. We're approaching the final minute of the first half. Duncan facing up. Here's the double. Finley, well, the double team opened up the shot for Finley, but he came up short from downtown.
I think that's where you double him, off the dribble when Duncan doesn't have as much room to make the pass out of that double team.
Barbosa thought he was fouled. Now Bowen is sent flying, and Jack Neese with the call. It is on Nash. Bowen is shaken up. Nash with his first. And you recall it was Bowen who ended up with the knee to the groin of Nash Saturday night in Game 3. A timeout is taken now. Crowd looking for... Well, they call the foul on Nash. The crowd upset. So for the first time tonight, we are seeing some physical play at both ends. Let's check in with Ernie Johnson back in our Atlanta studios.
All right, thank you very much, Marv. The T-Mobile halftime report comes your way in just a second. Kenny's going to be here, so is Charles, and so is the big guest studio analyst, Shaquille O'Neal, joins us again at halftime. We're going to break down the first half, and of course on Inside the NBA, all the highlights and all the post-game yakety-yak from the guys who won and those who lost. Now back to you.
All right, thank you, Ernie. That captures it. Timeout was taken after Bowen was sent flying. Here's another look. It's off to the left as the foul was called on Nash. Nash is claiming that he was elbowed by Bowen.
And that's what Bowen does so well. You know, there's been so much talk. Is Bruce Bowen dirty? I don't know if he's dirty, but I do know one thing. He gets away with whatever he does. I mean, if you notice, anytime he's in the midst of something, you have to go to the replays to tell what it really was, whether it was the knee to the groin or the kick to the Achilles. It's tough to catch during the game. Parker with the open jumper. But Bruce Bowen very subtle and very smart about his antics.
So you're saying he kind of pulls off that fine line.
He does. He walks that fine line. He does it as well as anybody in the league.
Ball's knocked away from Nash. Good play by Bowen, and Nash and Duncan have words.
And Steve Nash, I think that's turnover number 4 for Nash. Bruce Bowen doing an excellent job bothering him, and then the Spurs bigs coming out and showing pretty hard on that screen and roll.
About a second and a half differential between the game clock and shot clock as Parker works it down. Final seconds, first half. Here's Parker. Marion got a piece of it. Nash delivers to Marion. Can he get it off on time? He does. He scores!
For Phoenix, 1 for 7 from 3. So I think what's going to happen here in the second half, Marv, is Phoenix is going to have to prove that it can beat the Spurs at their game, just as San Antonio has done to Phoenix in 2 out of the first 3 games of the series.
High-point men in the first half. Tim Duncan has 10. Tony Parker has 10. Amari Stoudemire with 9 points. Picked up a couple of early fouls. Played only 11 minutes in the first half. Steve Nash hit his first 3 shots. Since then, he's missed 4 of 5. Bell comes up short. San Antonio back to its starting lineup. So they have Oberto at center rather than Elson. Oberto with Duncan, Bowen, Parker, and Finley on the floor for Greg Popovich. Here is Duncan. Goes to the glass.
He's just so automatic right now. He's in a groove on that bank shot. And, again, without any double team help coming, he's just in a nice offensive rhythm.
This is the biggest lead of the night for San Antonio. Thomas off the fake and draws the foul. It's on Duncan. That's his second. Let's check in with Craig Sager. Craig.
Well, Marv, Steve mentioned that if the Suns win this game, they'll have to do it at the pace and style of San Antonio. Mike D'Antoni said, listen, once we get Amari Stoudemire back in the game, we can play at our pace and our style. He said the only problem was I did not want him to pick up that 3rd foul, because if he did, then that would mess him up for the rest of the game. By sitting him, and he only has 2 fouls, I think I can have him for the whole second half. Basically, he said, we're doing a good job. We're out rebounding them. Our defense is good, but our organized chaos on offense just needs to calm down a little bit. Steve Nash has 6 assists. The rest of the team only 1.
On the other hand, we heard Greg Popovich tell his ball club they were trying to play too fast at points in the first half.
And that's exactly what Phoenix wants. San Antonio can play a lot of different ways, but it's this controlled style when they go through Duncan when they're so tough to beat.
Tim Duncan with the step. San Antonio 49 and Phoenix 42. Nash finds Thomas wide open. Rebounded by Bell. Nice feed. Marion is fouled by Parker.
Well, at some point, you have to question whether Phoenix is going to come with this double. Kurt Thomas on an island, Sean Marion, Steve Nash both coming late, and it's impossible for Thomas to handle Duncan down there, or anybody for that matter. Thomas is going to make him work, but unless he gets a little bit of help, Duncan's going to have his way.
Sean Marion, 81% free throw shooter during the regular season, converting 1 of 2. It's a 6-point San Antonio lead. Game 4 of this best of 7 Western Conference semifinal series. Finley with the open shot. Spurs up by 8.
And now they've got the post-up game going. They also have the screen and roll game going with Tony Parker.
Nash getting it out. Bell met by Bowen. Shot clock to 3. Bell for 3. Roger Bell from downtown.
And Greg Popovich is furious because Bruce Bowen just violated the cardinal rule in the cardinal sin in the Spurs defense. You don't leave the strong side corner. Bowen left just a split second. That allowed Bowen or Raja Bell to get the bucket.
That counts. And the foul. Beautiful hesitation move. Marion called for the foul. His second.
See, on that penetration move from Thomas, Bruce Bowen is supposed to stay with the shooter, and he let Bell get open just for a second. And here's the foul on Marion. Parker doing an excellent job leaning in and drawing that contact.
Spurs have come out strong here in this third quarter. They've hit their first 4 shots. Parker looking for his 13th point. Tony Parker during the regular season averaged 28 a game against the Suns. They met 3 times during the regular campaign. Stoudemire. And Thomas wisely stayed away. He was about to try and tip it. Would have been offensive interference.
And Stoudemire is going to have to get going because this Spurs defense is flying to the ball. They're everywhere tonight, and they're making great rotations in the lane. But Stoudemire is good enough to score even with all that happening. He's going to have a big half here.
Manu Ginobili has come on for Bruce Bowen. Here's Ginobili for 3. And the back tap lands in the hands of Mike D'Antoni. And the question is, who touched it last? Steve Javie, Jack Neese talk about it. Last touch by the Spurs.
Well, you see what happened. The Suns came on the double team now for the first time in quite a while. And Manu Ginobili ended up with the wide open look. So it's pick your poison. I mean, Ginobili missed the shot, but it's pick your poison now for Phoenix. And they're going to have to survive here, maybe giving up some outside looks.
Stoudemire. Parker got the step, and then Marion able to recover. Here's Finley for three. Michael Finley. 8 points for Finley. That's his second three. And the call against the Suns, Steve Nash cannot believe it as he picks up his second.
Look at what San Antonio is doing to Steve Nash. There's a wall of 2 defenders right there. Oberto with the help, nowhere for Nash to go. He's getting frustrated. 5 turnovers now for Nash, and he just has not had the freedom in the lane that he's had earlier in the series.
And you mentioned that he's frustrated. He continues the discussion. That's a traveling violation on Parker. When he moved down court, he was involved in a discussion with the lead official, Steve Javie. So he is being bothered by a number of other activities that are going on.
And San Antonio is mixing its defenders. Parker is on him now. Eventually they'll get to Bowen, but they're showing him different looks. But the constant is that they're really harassing him on these screen and rolls. You see Duncan there with the help.
Thomas, yes. Kurt Thomas wide open off the double on Nash. Spurs 57 and the Suns 50.
Thomas is going to be wide open this entire second half because, again, the Spurs aren't going to leave three-point shooters. I think Greg Popovich feels like if they allow Thomas to beat them, they're in pretty good shape.
What a shot by Duncan. He was doubled, had nowhere to go, and then banked it home. Thomas looks to set the pick. Here's Nash. Draws the foul. And that is 3 on Duncan.
Well, Nash has not been able to get this shot off the last 2 games of this series here in San Antonio. He's normally so good at knifing in here and then throwing up that little one-handed layup. But Tim Duncan has played position defense on him. He's met him at the rim. Questionable call there. But Nash will go to the line for 2.
Steve Nash just under 90% at the free throw line. So Tim Duncan with his 3rd foul. And Greg Popovich and lead assistant P.J. Carlesimo discussing that. Spurs lead it 59-52. First of our playoff twin bill here on TNT. The Cavaliers defeated the Nets 87-85. Ginobili wide drives for 3. Cavaliers lead the Nets 3-1. Nice pass. Stoudemire is fouled by Finley. Good look from Thomas. LeBron James leading Cleveland with 30 points, 9 rebounds. And while TNT will have doubleheaders throughout Wednesday, playoff action will continue later on in the week. Thursday on ESPN, Pistons and Bulls, if there is a Game 6, followed by Jazz and Warriors, if a Game 6 is necessary. And Sunday on ABC, the playoffs continue with games and times still to be determined.
Well, Mark, before the game when we were in Greg Popovich's coaching office, we looked up at the wall and he had a sign that said, kind of a motto, it said, "Don't be in a hurry to win the game." And I think that's so appropriate. That's exactly how San Antonio approaches things. They try to wear you down over 48 minutes, and they do it with defense, with rebounding, with relentlessness. And you can see the results. After a while, you start to get frustrated when you play against them. And that's how San Antonio wins games. They don't blitz you. They just sort of wear you out over time. And that's what we're seeing here tonight.
Parker from a tough angle. 15 points for Tony Parker. Mike D'Antoni wants to talk it over. Timeout, Phoenix. They're on their feet here in San Antonio. And Eva Longoria enjoying her fiance's performance. She's text messaging her friends.
Are we going to just show her every game for the rest of Tony Parker's career?
It is possible.
Actually, I wouldn't mind.
Stoudemire trying to back tap, and Parker's on it. That's the former Gabrielle Solis. As you know, Steve, there are domestic issues on the show, though.
Actually, I didn't know. But I'm glad you're up to date.
Tony Parker, 15 points and 5 assists. Finley for 3. Rebounded by Marion.
Well, Marv, I think this is the critical point in this entire series right now. I mean, everything's going San Antonio's way. Barbosa's going to get a foul here and go to the line for 2. But this is the critical juncture. Can Phoenix get the game back in its favor? Can they get running? Can they make some stops? Can they go on a little Suns spurt here? Because if not, this is demoralizing. Because this is the best game San Antonio has played. It's their style. And if they can close this thing out and go up 3-1, it's going to be awfully tough for Steve Nash and the Suns to get back in it.
Foul committed by Alberto, and Barbosa missing on his first of 2. Phoenix Suns have not fared well in recent years against the San Antonio Spurs. They've dropped 11 of the last 12, including the postseason here in San Antonio, and they have lost the last 5 here in the River City. 9-point Spurs lead, just under 6 to play in the third quarter. Ginobili with the runner. Ginobili all over Bell. Brown wanted a foul on Bell. And here's Nash driving hard to take it to the rim.
Well, he wanted to take that 3. He was wide open, but he fumbled the ball. Crowd doesn't like it. They felt that Bell should have been called for an offensive foul, but that's the kind of play Phoenix needs, a stop and a transition bucket.
Parker to the crossover to set it up. 17 points for Parker, who started out 1 of 5. That lob thrown to the crowd, and Finley comes away with it.
Well, great play from Ginobili, reading that Nash lob. And that's another turnover for Steve Nash.
Alberto goes down. Crowd wanted a foul again on Bell. Ginobili for 3. Barbosa rebound. Barbosa checking behind him. He heard footsteps. Barbosa for 3. And Parker able to run it down. And the Suns having their problems from beyond that 3-point line. Timeout taken by San Antonio.
I think Greg Popovich sensed that the game was getting maybe a little bit chippy, a little out of hand. And maybe that was to Phoenix's favor because of the pace that it was creating. And it is getting physical. A little forearm shove from Raja Bell to Alberto.
92, Suns in a 3-game sweep behind Tom Chambers. 93, the West Semi, Suns won at 6, led by Charles Barkley. 1996 first round series, Spurs won it 3-1 behind David Robinson. 98, Spurs take it 3-1. 2000 first round, Suns with the victory. 2003, Spurs take it in 6. Steven Jackson bursting onto the national scene. And then 2005, Spurs won it in 5 as they got the solid series from Tony Parker. And here we are in game 4 of this best of 7 of the Western Conference semifinals. Nice pass. Finley is fouled, hit from behind by Barbosa. So Michael Finley to the line. That is 3 on Barbosa. And from the second quarter on, Steve, as we have been discussing, San Antonio has been able to play its game. And you're looking at a Phoenix team that if you saw them during the regular season, you would not recognize.
No, I mean, the defense has taken over here for San Antonio. How about Leandro Barbosa, Sean Marion, and Amari Stoudemire? combining so far to go 6 for 21 from the field. This is a threesome that averaged about 55 points a game combined in the regular season, and yet they have not been able to get anything going. And it's been all Spurs, and this is what they do. This is how they've won 3 championships.
And another strong performance for Michael Finley. Remember Game 5 in the opening round against Denver? Had 8 3-pointers, set a San Antonio playoff record. That's a tripping foul, and the Spurs are over the limit. Foul on Bowen, his first.
Well, this is something that Bowen did so well the other night, just riding Nash. And I think actually Nash gets a break here. Didn't look like Bowen fouled him. The other night I thought Nash had a beef on several plays where Bowen was hacking him across the arm, but not much there. But Nash gets a free trip to the line.
Prior to that timeout taken by San Antonio, you mentioned things getting a little bit testy, although in the first half it was quiet when you consider what took place in Game 3. But as Roger Bell said yesterday, it's not just going out and throwing elbows. He said it's controlled intensity, playing with great passion. You can be physical without playing dirty.
Yeah, Nash said basically the same thing. He said it's not about physical toughness, it's about mental toughness, which means being alert and anticipating plays rather than reacting to them, chasing down loose balls, sticking with the game plan. And that's something that you have to do when you're a contender and you're trying to break through to become a champion.
Oh, what a possession for Fabricio Oberto. Was able to field that save and banked it home. Here's Nash for 3. Steve Nash fires the 3. Phoenix only 2 for their previous 9 from beyond the 3-point line.
And you get the sense now that Nash is going to have to start doing more of that, really being aggressive offensively. Nobody else has been able to get on track. And then, this is happening with Tim Duncan on the bench, too. Another bucket from the San Antonio reserve corps.
Brent Barry from downtown, and he has been a major contributor here tonight. Stoudemire gets inside. Crowd looking for a traveling violation.
Watching San Antonio, I get the same feeling when I watch Detroit, Mark. Just that inner confidence that championship teams have. And once you've done it, it's a lot easier to do it again. And you can see it with both the Spurs and the Pistons. It's just something that the contenders don't have.
Whoa, what balance by Parker. Able to stay on his feet and take it to the rim. Bell for 3. Yes. Terrific end-to-end action, and the Spurs have a 75-67 lead. San Antonio has hit 12 of 16 from the field in this third quarter.
And Steve Nash just trying to will his team back into this game, creating pace by pushing the ball, but it doesn't matter because Phoenix can't stop anybody at the defensive end.
Another 3 for Barry. He extends to a 78-67 lead. So Brent Barry off the bench to hit 4 of 6 overall.
The play of this San Antonio bench marked 26 points from the reserves. And Tim Duncan with that rest late in the third. And again, it's been a theme in this series. The Spurs have been able to play well even without their star on the court.
Spurs have hit 9 of the last 10 shots. You saw 13 of 17 from the field in this third quarter. They lead by 11 as we come up on 2 minutes left in the third. Stoudemire going at Duncan. Mari Stoudemire has not been able to get it going. Ginobili rebounded by Stoudemire.
I don't think Greg Popovich was real thrilled with that. When you've got a team on the ropes a little bit, you got Tim Duncan back in the ballgame, you got to make the defense work. Throw it into Duncan and see what happens.
Last touch by Bowen. Tim Duncan is playing with 3 fouls. The Spurs with 33 points in this third quarter. And we have about a minute and a half to play. Stoudemire Let's see, the officials checking with each other. That will count. And the foul. It's on Ginobili.
Well, both officials pointed to the line, to the restricted area line. So let's take a look. And we can't tell from that angle. It looked like Stoudemire caught it anyway in that lower defensive box. So I'm not sure that that restricted area would have come into play. And it also looked like Ginobili arrived late.
Stoudemire 7 of 7 at the line. 3-point play for Stoudemire.
And with Nash on the bench, this is a critical time for Phoenix to make sure they hang in the game here in the final couple of minutes of the third quarter.
Harry to the crossover on Barbosa. Here's Vaughn. Rebounded by Barbosa.
And we saw a double team of Duncan there. And again, Phoenix is going to make Jacques Vaughn make some jumpers, which he did in the first half.
Stoudemire blocked by Duncan. That's his third rejection, and then it's a tie-up. Jack Meese with the call. It'll be a jump ball.
Well, Duncan, one of the best shot blockers in the NBA. Stoudemire thought he had a dunk. But this is what makes Tim Duncan so good defensively. He's always in the right spot, and then he anticipates well when he goes up to block shots.
Jacques Vaughn was able to tie it up with Stoudemire. Someone stepped in too quickly. The outside official, Steve Javie, now calling a foul on Ginobili.
I think it was a violation. Ginobili looked like he tried to sneak in between the two Phoenix offensive players. He left too early. So Phoenix will get the ball out.
So no foul. The ball is given back to the Suns with just, now they reset the clock. Right now double zeros are being shown. Marion will throw in with 1:03 remaining in this third quarter. Diaw. Ginobili rebound.
Diaw with Brent Berry on him. That's normally a situation where he'll go down on the block. That jumper is not his strength.
Roberto. Marion gambled and went flying by. And Roberto with a couple of big buckets here in the third quarter. Bell. Roberto with the rebound.
Oh, look at this lineup that San Antonio has on the floor. I mean, are they more talented than Phoenix? You got Roberto, Jacques Vaughn, Berry, Ginobili misses the three. This is what San Antonio can do, even without Parker and Duncan. They still maintain their defensive composure.
All right, Barbosa able to make the turn on Larry, so it's an 80-72 San Antonio lead as we come up on 10 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Roberto sets the pick, and here's Vaughn. It's called for a double dribble. Suns will get it back with 4.4 remaining in the third quarter.
It looks like Steve Nash is going to stay on the bench. I thought maybe D'Antoni would put him in for one possession, but you've got Barbosa, who's as quick as anyone end line to end line.
All right, here comes Barbosa. Puts the speed on and lost it.
In Portland, may be a hot commodity himself.
Well, the San Antonio Spurs have been hot. A sensational shooting third quarter. Robert Horry has checked back in. Tim Duncan remains on the floor. That pass picked off by Stoudemire. Marion has been very quiet. Only 1 of 4 from the field.
He has not been able to get it going. Remember, he had the series 2 years ago against the Spurs where he really struggled, did not score much either. Part of it is that against the Spurs, he's forced to play the 3 position as Duncan gets the lay-in. Sean Marion more effective as a power forward, a quick 4 position player. When he plays the 3, he tends to lose that speed advantage he has, and he's not an overly skilled player, not a guy who can create shots for himself.
18 points, 8 rebounds for Duncan. Stoudemire had it slapped away. He was looking to stuff. Oh, beautiful pass, Barry to Duncan, and a foul.
Oh, was that nice. Brent Berry going into the time warp. We used to see passes like that out of him in Seattle. Got a little more conservative here in San Antonio, but fantastic behind the head feed. And Stoudemire forced to commit the foul.
3 on Stoudemire. Brent Barry in his 12th NBA season out of Oregon State. He's had some back issues during the course of the year. Come up with a strong performance tonight. He's 4 of 6 from the field. He has 10 points. He's hit 2 from downtown. Duncan is 2 of 3 at the foul line in the playoffs. Duncan 62% from the line, and hearing the chant of MVP.
Well, San Antonio has not done much from the line tonight. And as Duncan makes the second, in fact, if you told Mike D'Antoni before the game that his team would out-rebound the Spurs, which they've done, and outscore them from the line considerably, which they've also done by 8 points, I think he would have felt pretty good about his team's chances. But I don't think he counted on the Spurs shooting 54% from the field.
Barbosa has it slapped away at a foul. Foul on the Spurs. And I would think that Mike D'Antoni expected a major turnaround from Steve Nash, who opened up by hitting his first 3 shots, but he has been frustrated by the defensive play of the Spurs. Nash 6 of 9. He does have 18 points and 9 assists. Now the officials conferring on that last call.
They may be talking about whether this should be a shooting foul or if the ball is going to be out on the side. And I think Michael Finley there trying to tell Steve Javi that Barbosa was attempting to make a pass to no avail. Barbosa will get 2 free throws. Let's see what the intention was. Yeah, he's going for the hoop. Barry knocks the ball back out to the perimeter.
Foul on Barry, his second. Barbosa 1 of 2 at the line. And he's had another long night. 3 of 10 from the field, just 7 points. Well, this week you can log on to TNT Overtime on NBA.com. In the spotlight, Shaquille O'Neal and his mom Lucille as they tee up on the golf course to benefit charity. TNT Overtime, the basketball broadband channel that's on all the time only at NBA.com.
Barbosa now with 8 points. Remember, he averaged about 21 in that first round series against the Lakers. The 6th man of the year this season, averaged 18 a game. Nash comes up with a steal, but Barbosa just has not been able to crack this Spurs defense in this series.
Right here is Barbosa trying to go off glass, and Stoudemire puts it down.
And that's the advantage of pushing the ball. You may not get the first bucket, but you'll have some offensive rebounding positioning, as Stoudemire found there.
Stoudemire jumps out at Parker. Here's Duncan. Will not count. It's a traveling violation.
Crowd doesn't like it. Duncan obviously unhappy. And let's take a look. Beautiful feed here from Parker. Now let's see if we can tell. Yep, little shuffle there. Good call.
Nash turning the corner. Barbosa able to close out on Barry to prevent the 3.
Smart play by Barry. Get the tempo back in your favor. Get the ball into Tim Duncan and see what happens from there.
Barry. 12 points for Brent Barry. Barbosa from downtown.
Now just 3 of 12 now for Barbosa. And once you get in that rut, particularly in a playoff game, in a pressure-packed environment, and you start missing as a young player, it's awfully tough to find that groove again.
Here's Duncan. Offensive foul. That's number 4 on Duncan. A timeout taken. San Antonio up by 10. 3 minutes, 5 seconds gone by in this 4th quarter.
They try to make a push here. You like that transition, Mark. Down 10, and there's no sense that they're ready to make a move because San Antonio has had them locked up. pretty much the entire game.
Reach-in foul called on Bowen. Tim Duncan sitting down after picking up his 4th foul on that charge a moment ago. Berto, Ori, and Bowen up front. And again, a foul is called on the Spurs. And that is their 3rd team foul. Suns with just 1. Foul is on Bowen, his 3rd.
Now it looks like Nash was trying to set a screen, and Bowen impeded his progress. That's why Joe DeRosa made the call.
Game 5 of this series back in Phoenix Wednesday night. And here on TNT in Game 6, if necessary, back here in San Antonio on Friday night. Here's Marion. It's been a long time between field goals for Sean Marion. That's a 3, and it brings the Suns with it 7.
And even though San Antonio has dominated this entire game, the Suns are still just a couple of stops away from getting back into it.
Ori deflected out. Last touch by Stoudemire.
Boy, how good has Oberto been tonight? I mean, he doesn't do a whole lot in the stat sheet. 6 points, 2 boards, but he's so active. He's constantly getting his hands, on loose balls, rebounds, creating extra possessions for his team.
He's in his 2nd NBA season, a star in Argentina, the starting center for the gold medal winning team in the Olympics in 2004. Barry, and the ball will go back to Phoenix. We are at the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas. Marv Albert with Steve Kerr and Craig Sager. And here in the Southwest, it is 11 p.m. Down to 8 minutes remaining in this 4th quarter. Beautiful behind-the-back pass. And Marion had it deflected out of bounds. So the Suns maintain possession. Here's Manu Ginobili coming on for Brent Barry. Gets a hand from this crowd. Leaves with 12 points. That is a playoff high for this season for Barry.
And we'll see how long Popovich stays with Tim Duncan on the bench. I can't imagine for too much longer.
Here's Marion. So Sean Marion showing some signs. Beautiful pass from Steve Nash. His 11th assist. Phoenix within 5. Parker, met by Stoudemire, and a foul. Late whistle. Foul is called. It is a non-shooting foul. That's 4 on Barbosa.
Well, how about that play at the other end by Nash? There's been very little room with which to work for Nash, but look at him finding the cutting Sean Marion. And that's what Steve Nash does. Just finds angles that don't appear to be there, and Phoenix somehow is within.
Pair of Game 5s, Bulls and Pistons, and the Warriors and the Jazz with our coverage starting at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time.
Well, Marvin, a lot of talk yesterday about mental toughness and how the Suns had to break through, and how it wasn't so much about physical toughness and retaliating for Bruce Bowen's antics, but more about staying through adversity and continuing to play. And I think Phoenix has done that here tonight. But this is, I think, a bit of a watershed moment for this club. Can they break through? There's always a moment, a defining moment for teams that are contenders, where they try to break through against a championship caliber team. And we're going to see if Phoenix can possibly make that breakthrough here tonight.
So Tim Duncan is back on the floor, confronted by Stoudemire, rebounded by Bell. Here comes Nash, met by Bowen. Goes to the left hand, pulls it up, and scores. Steve Nash cuts that San Antonio lead down to 3. 7-0 run for the Suns. 5 minutes gone by in the 4th quarter. Barbosa came from the blind side, tried to steal it, and a foul called on Stoudemire. That's number 4.
Steve Nash infusing his club with confidence now. And they're making this little push. Watch Tim Duncan lay off because he's a little worried about Stoudemire. Nash has found Stoudemire a couple times in the second half, so Nash, as always, makes the right read.
And as Ginobili makes his move, a blocking foul called on Stoudemire. That is number 5.
And that's the foul that Mike D'Antoni was talking about yesterday when he said, you know what, he's young. He has to figure out when to back off. He has to anticipate plays. You know, he's been late on rotations in this series, and that's one of the things that gets him in foul trouble. Look, he's a second late trying to get to Ginobili. You've got to be able to read that. And I know it's easier said than done because it's Manu Ginobili turning the corner. But he's got to be able to read that and beat Ginobili to the spot.
And the question is whether he was in the act, and the officials say no. And Ginobili looking to go to the line.
Crowd chanting dirty at Stoudemire like they did in Game 3.
Here's Finley for 3. Yes. So Michael Finley stops the Phoenix run, hitting from downtown. San Antonio leads by 6.
Playoff experience, confidence. That's Michael Finley.
Thomas trying to draw the foul on Duncan. One-handed by Ginobili.
It was the right idea, but Thomas couldn't draw that foul. Looks like Duncan's going to pick up a foul here, though, on the moving screen.
So that's 5 on Duncan.
Watch Raja Bell, who has drawn several offensive fouls here tonight. When a screener is on the move and you're the defender, if you run into him, more often than not, you're going to get that call. The screener has to be still. And that's an excellent defensive play from Raja Bell.
The shot by Bell. Spurs 88, the Suns 84 with lots of time remaining, just under 6 to go. Tim Duncan remaining on the floor, playing with the 5 fouls, being guarded here by Kurt Thomas. Duncan has hit his last 6 shots. Bell over to help on a double, and it's a traveling violation.
And there's that double. We haven't seen it much tonight, but I think Phoenix has thrown it in just enough to keep Duncan off balance a little bit here in the second half.
San Antonio has led by as many as 11. The lead is down to 4. Nash for Thomas and a foul. That'll put Thomas at the line. Team foul number 4 on the Spurs. Foul on Ginobili, his first.
Thomas with just 2 fouls himself, so that's going to let him be more aggressive on Duncan, who has 5, and looks like Popovich is just going to let Tim Duncan go. I think that's the right call. I mean, this is a critical juncture of the game. You got to let Duncan play through it, but if that's the case, you got to look for Steve Nash to go right at Tim Duncan on penetration.
Kurt Thomas, a 79% free throw shooter during the regular season. And now Alberto will check back in. So apparently Greg Popovich changed his mind as Duncan sits down.
And that means at the other end that the offense will go through Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. And will Kurt Thomas stay on the floor? Looks like he will. And what will Phoenix do? They're really going to have to try to bottle up penetration here from Parker and Ginobili.
The Suns are within 2. Finley for 3. Michael Finley with consecutive threes. The Spurs lead 91-86.
Just incredible. The poise, the leadership, the experience of Michael Finley. What a huge shot.
That's his 4th three-pointer. Nash got the step. Here's Barbosa. It counts in the foul. A blocking foul charged to Parker.
What a game. This is an incredible 4th quarter. Michael Finley, the second huge 3 he's hit in the last couple of minutes. And then at the other end, the lean in from Barbosa. The Spurs bench can't believe the call. Looked like Barbosa initiated the contact, but he will go to the line.
Andrew Barbosa struggling at the line, just 2 of 5. Spurs by 3, just under 5 remaining in the 4th. Shot clock down to 6. Good job by Marion all over Parker. Down to 1 on the shot clock. Finley comes up short. 24-second violation and an excellent defensive sequence by the Suns.
Well, we've lauded Kurt Thomas for his defense on Tim Duncan in this series, but he's just done a nice job on the screen and roll. 2 consecutive possessions, staying in front of Tony Parker and forcing the pass back outside. Thomas has been invaluable to this club in this series.
Phoenix Suns going without Amari Stoudemire. Picked up a 5th foul. San Antonio without Tim Duncan. He is on the bench after collecting his 5th. Phoenix within 3. 4.5 left in the 4th. The Suns are trying to tie the series up at 2. Here's Nash. He lost it. Back comes Parker. 3-on-1. Ginobili to Parker and a foul. Foul on Barbosa. Got to put Parker at the line.
Bruce Bowen at the other end harassed Steve Nash again, and then Manu Ginobili reaches in and pokes the ball away. Nash wanted a foul, but I don't think there was one. And then at the other end, good hard foul from Leandro Barbosa. But once again, that perimeter defense of Bruce Bowen a factor again here on Nash.
Parker 1 of 1 at the line, 78% free throw shooter during the regular season. He's come a long way in this department. San Antonio's not spent much time at the line, 9 for 10, while Phoenix with 23 free throw attempts.
And it's not as big a concern, free throw shooting, as it was in the last couple of years. Spurs much better now in the middle of the pack in the NBA in terms of free throw percentage.
Both teams are now over the foul limit. So Parker hits on both. San Antonio up by 5. Phoenix Suns 61 wins in the regular season to take the Pacific Division, second best record in the league behind Dallas. Nash trying to get it down low. He committed himself as he left his feet.
That's what he does. He does leave his feet to make passes. Usually makes the right decision, but another turnover.
Will it drop? It does, but not through the rim as Parker is fouled once again. And the turnover by Nash leading to this attempt by Parker, and the foul on Thomas for Thomas, number 3. Steve Nash with 8 turnovers.
Now look at that ball stay on the rim. That's as long as I have ever seen a ball stay on the rim without either stopping altogether or dropping through. But Parker will go to the line, and you mentioned it, 2 uncharacteristic turnovers from Nash.
That time it dropped for Tony. Here's Amari Stoudemire coming on for Kurt Thomas. Amari greeted by this San Antonio crowd. He's playing with the 5 fouls. Stoudemire just 6 of 15 from the field. So Parker's done the job at the line, 95-88. Spurs with the lead. They have managed to outscore Phoenix 7-2 since Tim Duncan sat down. Duncan out with the 5 fouls. Stoudemire now played by Bowen. Here's Stoudemire. Strong move. Going right to left and line drives it home.
And no help coming from the Spurs defenders. As usual, staying put on the 3-point line. Stoudemire taking advantage.
95-90. San Antonio. Parker rebounded by Stoudemire.
Parker knew he missed that one immediately.
Here's Bell for 3. Coming up way short.
And a break for San Antonio. I mentioned Parker knew he had missed a shot. He chased the offensive rebound, which goes against everything Greg Popovich wants in terms of transition defense. He wants his guards back, but Bell misses the open look.
Here's Parker, got the step. Nash pushing it. Leaves it for Bell. Bell to the rim. It's a 3-point game, and Greg Popovich will have to make a decision right here on Tim Duncan with 2:42 to go in this 4th quarter.
Very subtle little pass from Steve Nash in transition with Bruce Bowen riding him, and then Manu Ginobili comes over to help. Just a little pass right there that gives Bell the freedom to get all the way to the rim. Welcome back to the AT&T Center, where the Suns are desperately trying to even up this series. Watch this subtle little play from Steve Nash in transition. He's got Bruce Bowen riding him, but take a look right here. The little contact with Manu Ginobili knocks Ginobili off balance. It gives Bell enough room to get into the lane. And then at this point, everybody on Phoenix is late getting back because it's a transition situation. So the half-court defense not set up. Bell takes advantage. He gets the hoop. And suddenly Phoenix is a stop and a three-pointer away from tying this game.
They're on their feet here in San Antonio as Tim Duncan has just checked back in. Duncan playing with 5 fouls with 2 minutes, 42 seconds remaining in the fourth. Amari Stoudemire on the floor for the Suns, and he has 5. Bell on Ginobili. Shot clock to 10. Here's Ginobili. That is blocked by Marion. But Duncan is there.
The offensive rebound has been lethal for Tim Duncan in the Spurs this entire series. He had 15 in the first 3 games, and there's another big one here.
97-92. Spurs. Nash. Yes. Steve Nash has come on strong in the fourth quarter. Overall, 22 points, 13 assists, just under 2 minutes to play. 97-94, San Antonio. Here's the double on Duncan. Shot clock down to 5. Down to 3. Ginobili off balance. And back come the Suns. Nash delivers to Bell. Bell changed his mind, passed on the 3, and a beautiful play setting up Marion to bring the Suns within 1.
A fantastic defense by Phoenix at the other end, allowing Bruce Bowen an open look from the wing where he's not comfortable, and staying with Michael Finley in the corner. Excellent choice defensively by the Suns.
Down to 1 minute 15 remaining in the fourth quarter. Shot clock to 4. Duncan to the fadeaway. Try to bank it. Rebound Marion.
Marion coming over for the double.
Suns with a chance to take the lead. Just under a minute remaining in the fourth. Stoudemire. Phoenix up by 1. First time they've led in the second half. And Greg Popovich calls for time. 6 unanswered by Phoenix. The Suns have come from 11 back, looking to tie the series at 2.
The Suns with an amazing comeback here in the fourth quarter. They take the lead on this hoop from Amari Stoudemire. Look at the around-the-back pass using the left hand from Steve Nash. First time they've had the lead in a long time, and the bench loves it. And now it's defense. Can Phoenix make a stop?
Both teams over the foul limit. San Antonio with 1 timeout left. Phoenix has a full and a 20. Down to 50 seconds in the fourth. Finley to the fade. Handled by Marion. Phoenix in possession. They're up by 1. And as I mentioned, San Antonio over the foul limit. Oh, Nash behind the back. Stoudemire scores, going right at Duncan. 100-97 Phoenix. The Spurs call for time.
Well, both Stoudemire and Nash have been through an awful lot tonight. Nash with the turnovers, Stoudemire with the foul trouble, but they are teaming up to make huge plays here late. Stoudemire going right at Tim Duncan, who has 5 fouls. And watch the reaction from the Phoenix bench as they go up 3 here late.
8 unanswered points by the Suns. San Antonio just used their final timeout. Both teams are over the foul limit. All right, Stu, 32 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. San Antonio in possession, and they are now down by 3.
Well, with no timeouts left, maybe you do go for the 3 here. And Kurt Thomas is going to come into the game for defensive purposes. You got to be careful. If they go into Duncan, if you foul, you got to make sure he does not get the hoop. But it wouldn't shock me if he gets good position to see Thomas really foul Duncan hard, make him earn a couple of free throws.
Ginobili going at Bell. Ginobili. And it's tipped to the corner, played by Barbosa. And here is Nash being chased, and they had him. Oh, look out. As Ori sent Nash flying, and Bell goes at Ori. Nash got up. He wants to go at Ori. The Suns did not appreciate the foul by Robert Ori.
What an incredible sequence we have seen here in the late going. Phoenix maybe coming of age as a franchise, fighting through a game that they really didn't have going in their favor. Here's the miss from Ginobili. San Antonio was looking to set up Michael Finley in the corner for a 3. They couldn't get it. And then here's Nash, a forearm shiver from Robert Ori. And if that's not a flagrant foul, I don't know what is. Because in that situation, you have to grab him. You just grab Nash, you send him to the line. But a forearm shiver, and I think that's what the officials are talking about now. Was it flagrant? And you've got to talk about, possible technical foul with Bell, or maybe double technicals, but a lot to sort out here for the officials.
And we're told flagrant 2 has been called on Robert. Oh, look at that.
And, if you're San Antonio now, you have to worry about a possible suspension because that elbow came up near the head, although it looked like it got Nash on the shoulder. So the league will look at that. Ori is ejected as a result of that flagrant 2. But with Nash going to the foul line, Phoenix will also get the ball back. San Antonio in huge trouble here.
Raja Bell was hit with a technical foul for going at Robert Ori. Ori has been ejected. And first, Michael Finley will shoot the free throw for the technical that was called on Bell. I'll tell you, the assistant coaches did a terrific job in getting between players because that could have been much worse.
We've talked so much the last couple of games about the physical nature of this series. The Spurs kind of laughed it off, but it has gotten increasingly testy here tonight with both clubs fighting for this huge victory. And now Nash with a couple of big free throws.
Steve Nash, one of the best in the NBA over the years, just under 90% at the line. That's his second miss of the night. So the Suns lead 101-98. Phoenix will be in possession. We're down to 18.2 to go in this fourth quarter. And a timeout is taken by the Suns. So they will have one timeout remaining at 20 left. Question is, did anybody leave the bench off this melee?
Well, you see Stoudemire coming into the play. And the coach is sending he and Boris Diaw back to that bench area. The question is, were they on the court or not? And you talk about a young mistake. If indeed Stoudemire was on the floor, which looks like the league will have to look at very closely. And that could cost Phoenix Amari Stoudemire in Game 5.
As you think back over the years, particularly that Knick Miami series, where players left the bench. There have been other instances where teams have been hurt by players involved. You could say, oh, there's a Diaw, but I don't know if he stepped onto the court.
If the league goes by the letter of the law, it's entirely possible that both Stoudemire and Diaw will not be around for Game 5.
All right, for more, let's check in with Craig.
Well, there's a clarification on Amari Stoudemire. They're playing offense and defense, so he was ready to check in. So he had already left his seat at the bench, so there may be a out for Amari Stoudemire because he was already on his way, according to the coaching staff, to come in for that offensive defensive substitution.
All right, we'll see what the interpretation is from the league office.
And meanwhile, Phoenix will obviously look to get the ball into Nash, because San Antonio will foul immediately.
18 seconds left in regulation. Nash with the ball and then is hit by Ginobili.
Look at Nash. Even when he's getting fouled, he's looking for that lob to Marion. He puts it off the glass. The guy is absolutely fearless out here on the floor. And now a couple of big free throws. And again, Spurs without a timeout. And no Tim Duncan on the floor. So now you're looking for a three in transition if you're San Antonio.
And Steve Nash has missed 2 of his last 3 at the line. Coming up, it'll be Game 5 back in Phoenix Wednesday night. We'll have it right here on TNT. Game 6, if necessary, back here in San Antonio on Friday night. Game 7, if necessary, in Phoenix on Sunday.
Nash has been short on his 2 misses. He's got to stay with the free throw. Normally, he leans back a little bit on his free throw, but he finishes the shot. Looks like he does it there.
Suns now lead 102-98. San Antonio quickly to the front court. We're down to 12 seconds. Finley from way downtown, and the ball carries out of bounds. So the Suns back in possession with 8.5 to go in the fourth. And this crowd, and they are stunned by this late rally by Phoenix, starting to file out. Foul is given by Parker.
And Marv, I think what makes this such an amazing win for Phoenix is that the game was played at San Antonio's pace for about 3.5 quarters. I mean, you never really got the sense that the Suns were playing their style until the final few minutes, and they were able to hang around. They played solid defense in that fourth quarter. They made some stops. Tim Duncan got in foul trouble. But this is a breakthrough win for the Suns as Marion knocks down the first free throw.
Well, the Suns hit their last 5 shots. The Spurs have missed their last 5. The Suns have come from 11 down. This was all San Antonio, as you say, in terms of the style and in terms of as Parker fires away and time has run out. Just in terms of the way they handled the game.